Welcome back to the Celebrity Big Brother Breakdown podcast with The Sun. And Howell's back, everyone.
Hello.
And very excitingly, he's fresh off the plane from LA.
I am, and I've had to binge, I think, 8 episodes of Celebrity Big Brother in about maybe just over 24 hours, which has been enlightening, to say the least.
Well, I think probably a bit more exciting than having to binge watch Big Brother, and no offense, Big Brother, is that you're back because you were at the Oscars.
I was, yes. I was in LA for the Oscars, so I spent 7 days in LA, give or take, given the flights. And yeah, it was good. I was covering the Oscars, so obviously there was lots of superstars around, lots of glitz and glamour, lots of waiting around on red carpets, lots of feeling sweaty in a suit. It was very glamorous.
Well, that's why I thought you'd be perfect to have on today, because you brush shoulders with actual superstars. And, you know, we've got a house filled with people who are stars, think they're stars. So I'm going to jump into all of that. Big episode it was last night. Coming up, though, we've got a chat with someone who knows what it's like to go into that house, having been on a reality TV show before. So I think that the reality-to-reality situation that Ekin-Su's currently facing is one that he's going to be able to talk about. It's James Hill, who won The Apprentice and then actually ended up winning Celebrity Big Brother. So he's got a really unique perspective on it. So stay tuned for that. I've also got to tell you about a very juicy Ronan Keating story.
I mean, that sounds like a good tease to me.
Yeah. So, I mean, God, I'm just packing in all the stars, aren't I?
Ronan Keating.
You've met Ronan, right?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, yeah, no, I have, because I did Boyzone's last ever interview, and so that's why I'm not best pleased that they've apparently just bought a football club and are like doing stuff again, because I'm like, wait, I thought that was like my claim to fame, that I did Boyzone's last ever interview, but hey, we'll see how that goes.
You did their last ever like music interview.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think one of them's not come back. Mikey's not come back for the football thing, so it counts. I can still hold that title.
Yeah, oh my God, 100%. So Superstars Oscars Awards. Last night on the episode, they broke all Big Brother rules and introduced intel from the outside world by telling Marisha that she was nominated for an Olivier Award.
There are exciting things ahead. On Sunday, the 14th of April, you will be sitting at the Olivier Awards as a nominee for Best Actress in a Musical for Guys and Dolls.
She's up for Best Actress in a Musical for Guys and Dolls. So, in the world of awards, that's massive, right, for her?
In theatre, that is like it, you know. You have the Tony Awards and you have the Olivier Awards, and they're the only two that really matter, you know. They're so big, and in the theatre world, there's not always a lot of recognition, you know. She'll have been doing 8 shows a week, and that's really, really intense. And she's been doing this for decades, you know. She's really, like, worked hard. And so to get that, it's really, like, what you've worked for your whole life, in a way, to have that recognition from your peers. And I did sort of feel really bad for her in the episode, because she got that news and she was so happy. And then 10 minutes later in the episode, she's crying her eyes out. And I was like, oh my God, this is so heartbreaking.
Yeah, because as you say, like, it's not like getting again, no offense, but it's not like here where we have the TV Choice Awards, we have the Soapies, we have the Soap Awards, we've got the NTAs, like, being a person on TV, there's quite a lot of opportunities to be nominated for things.
Yeah, but also it's like, it's a bit like comparing getting like Employee of the Month to getting like a Lifetime Achievement Award. I don't know how you compare it, but you know what I mean? It's really like so prestigious.
It's massive.
So massive.
So the reason why I think that it's really important that we sort of recognise that is that I agree. It felt like she had had this life-changing news, and then it was all just completely brushed off the table because of the nominations.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I was just sat there watching, just completely wanting to peel my skin off. It was so awful.
I mean, I really enjoyed it, but it was a bit messy.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you guys haven't watched this, go watch, and we'll probably play a couple of clips of it now. But essentially, it all became Ekin-Su's.
It became Ekin-Su's night.
Yeah. So Fern, first of all, nominated her, saying things like, I feel like you wear a mask, I feel danger, I feel that I don't know the real you. And then You loved this bit.
Oh my God, yes. This line killed me.
Disappointed me and disturbed me.
That has disappointed me and disturbed me.
I mean, imagine saying that to someone. I was like, oh my God, Fern, you didn't have to go in that hard. It's face-to-face nominations. Like, say that in the diary room, but don't say it to her face. Just play it down a bit. Blimey, babe.
There's nothing worse than the disappointed in you.
But disturbed. I was like, wow.
And
oh my
danger.
God.
I feel danger. So that was bad enough, but we already knew that Fern and Ekin didn't like each other.
Right.
Fine. But then Marisha, who has been Ekin's pal, again, wild.
Oh, why are you mad at me?
What do you mean, why?
Why are you mad at me? I had to
we're
nominate.
close.
I know we're close, but I know that if you
But
go,
that's not
if you get
fair.
nominated, you will win.
No.
Essentially said, I know if I get to the final, I can't beat you. I know if I get to the final with you, you will win the public vote. I know that if we go head to head, you will win. You know how to win this.
But that makes absolutely no sense when you think about it, because if you think that she's going to win, why bother putting her up for nomination? Because if you think she's going to win the final, she's obviously going to get through Eviction 3. Do you know what I mean? Made no sense. Why would you do that?
Also, sorry to be so terribly British about this, but like you don't acknowledge the elephant in the room of the fact that you're thinking about who you want to be in the final with you.
I mean, also, I feel like anyone who talks about wanting to win never wins.
Yeah, but then if anyone else had said, if Ekin had said that, oh my God.
Yeah, it would have been you're a game
hell.
player, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, but then somehow to be fair on Ekin, she said, wow, how is no one saying that's fake? It wasn't considered a valid sort of way for her to feel about it.
Yeah. But I love that there was then this web which went round, because then Ekin-Su was so offended that Marisha had nominated her. And then she nominated Louis, who's her, like, really close pal. I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I mean, obviously you have to nominate people. But I was like, it's a bit double standards for her to be so offended by being nominated by Marisha. And then be like, oh, yeah, it's fine that I nominated Louis because everyone else did anyway. It's like, what?
Like, it just felt like all of us, it's... Yesterday on the podcast, I was like, I just think we're going to have a really messy couple of days. And wow.
Yeah, that started. I mean, it's only going to go on as well. I think tonight's episode will be messy.
It's really difficult to know sort of where to stand on all of this, because, like, I massively feel that Ekin stole Marisha's thunder of, like, what should have been, like, a really amazing day in her life.
Yeah.
By then, ironically, being very dramatic about something.
She's coming for that Olivier.
She wants Best Actress in a reality TV programme. But then I feel awful because the hate that Ekin's getting online
Oh, really?
is just off the scale. And, you know, you don't go into one of these programmes thinking it's all going to be sunshine and roses. And Ekin's been there before, you know, on Love Island. She went through a bit of a journey of being hated to then people sort of like appreciating her value. But it's got so bad that Ekin's people have just now put something online being like, please, guys, back off. You know, they've said nobody deserves this behaviour. To read some of what we did last night, you know, please remember it's a reality entertainment show. She is getting physical abuse threats. There's some really nasty stuff.
It's so crazy with these shows because it's entertainment, and I think we all need to remember that when we're watching it. One of my really good friends is friends with Chanel, who was on the last year's Civilian series. And I remember my friend going to the Eviction, and there was people with signs saying awful things about Welsh people, and I'm a Welsh person as well, so I heard about these
Spoiler.
signs. And I was like, wow, that is crazy. And thankfully, ITV were confiscating these signs off people, which I was like, I'm glad that they are, because it's not that serious. It's not that deep. It's a reality show. And yeah, it's fun to have a villain, like a pantomime villain. I feel like Louis playing that part. That's quite fun. Louis can take a bit of booing because he knows that he's stirring the pot every twist and turn. But it's just not worth it. I mean, she hasn't done anything that bad either. It just makes no sense to me how anyone could think that that's an acceptable thing in any way, shape or form.
Yeah, I
It's just
completely
not that
agree.
deep.
There's people saying, I'm going to the Eviction on Friday night and I'm taking tomatoes to throw at her. And I mean, I'm aware that that's quite pantomime, and let's face it, no one's ever been injured by a tomato. I mean, God, probably Googling now, someone might have slipped and done, anyway.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's not, to quote David Potts, it's not that deep.
Yeah.
And I just think potentially it's unfortunate that it all happened on the night that, Marisha had that lovely news, and that's going to make Ekin look even worse to people. And
I do think, though, some people do like Ekin-Su, and I don't think she's a surefire winner as Marisha supposedly sees her.
No.
I also don't believe Marisha really thinks that. But I also don't think she's hated by everybody. No. I can definitely see why some people would like her and would vote to keep her,
Yeah. Like, if you look as well, like, I think the British public, in terms of how we approach these programmes, have now just become a bit savvier about, like, keep the entertaining people in. Back in the day, we used to get the divisive characters out, and then we're like, oh, it's boring now. We've wised up a bit.
Well, that was why I was glad that Louis stayed in the Eviction the other night, because he's been really entertaining.
Yeah.
And I loved that, you know?
Oh, no, I completely agree. Absolutely brilliant. So tonight, it's double eviction. Fern's up.
It's a double eviction? Oh, my God, I didn't realise that.
Did you?
Oh, my God,
fresh
drama.
off the plane, you've missed all of this. Double eviction, Howell.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
So it's Fern, Louis, Levi, Ekin, and David.
Yes. There's a lot going on, isn't there?
Yeah, so the streets are divided.
Okay.
Basically.
What's Mike Skinner saying?
They're saying... There's the people that say get Ekin out, get Louis out, because they're the nasty ones.
But it's not about who's going out, is it? That's the thing.
And then the other half are saying Fern and Levi are dull.
I don't think people are going to vote for Levi to stay, because I'm just like, he doesn't have a fan base. Do you know what I mean?
That's the thing. It's
you
vote
might like
to
his
save.
sauce, but you know what I mean? And I don't think he's been that entertaining in there. He's sort of just like a dad, personally.
No. Fern and Levi are kind of like they deserve to stay. They're nice people. But have you ever voted for anything of like...
The thing is, I've quite enjoyed Fern. I've binge-watched those episodes the last few days, and I think Fern is kind of good value.
You will have seen her... The last couple of days, she sort of had a 180 from like crying and being quite misery mopey through the gardening show potato conversation.
Love.
And now the sassy catsuit.
Yeah, I think it was great. She comes out with some stuff sometimes, which is great. I mean, that speech about nominating Ekin-Su was TV gold. I loved it. Disturbed, it's so great. And so I'm just like, okay, I think there's like some more to come from her.
Okay.
And I think there's like some character development.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who I'm going to vote for yet, but I think she's maybe up there because I actually am enjoying watching her.
Interesting.
Well,
we'll see.
I think David Potts will get saved because he's...
Yeah.
I didn't know him when he went in, but I feel like he's warm to people, and there'll definitely be people who don't like him, but I think he's a Marmite character, and there'll be enough people who save him. I
agree. Also, I have a theory that people who moan about stuff online aren't necessarily the kind of people that vote anyway.
Totally. I mean, you have to think about the Civilian series last year where everyone online was saying Yimran was going to win, and then Jordan won, you know?
Yeah.
You can never predict it from what's being said on X.
Exactly. Right, so someone who knows all about voting and winning and all that kind of thing is James Hill, as I mentioned earlier. So he had a little chat with us for Bet Victor Casino, and he's been speaking to Dan Kane, who's our senior showbiz reporter. So James won The Apprentice. Now, obviously, that's not a public vote, but you're trying to win over Lord Alan Sugar. So... tough crowd. And then he went on to win CBB. Now, he was in there with Fat Man Scoop.
Wild.
Have you met Fat Man Scoop?
I don't think I have. No.
I keep firing it. Have you met this person? Have you met this person? And Janice Dickinson. So, like, big names.
I have met her.
And so he went in feeling like, I don't really deserve to be here with all these actually famous people. So I think he's got quite a unique kind of perspective on the situation. Yeah. So looking forward to this one. Should we have a little listen?
Let's look.
I mean, I've quite enjoyed watching Louis. I mean, I think he's been entertaining. At the end of the day, it is Celebrity Big Brother. It's a controversial show. And, you know, certain people have been selected for certain reasons. But I mean, my opinion is I think Louis he's quite good. It's great that he's just being himself. At the end of the day, we are who we are in life. And these kind of shows show people's, you know, kind of all facets of who they are. But I'm quite enjoying watching him. I don't think it'd be the same without him.
In this series, you've got Ekin-Su, who was on Love Island before, but she seems to be having a bit of a hard time accepting that she was on there, or at least she doesn't want to talk about it. What have you made of her in the house so far?
Yeah, it's a good question, that, because I mean, I quite like Ekin-Su. I mean, I watched her on a bit of confession. You know, I do watch Love Island quite a bit. My partner loves it, and I've had a few friends that have been on the show as well. And you know, I thought she was a character on Love Island, but I don't know. She reminds me a little bit of myself, where she's very interested in people. She asks a lot of questions, which is nice to see. You know, because in that house, you know, that's all you have. You have other people to be interested in. But I don't know. I just don't know if I believe it all or not. You know, I mean, sometimes she comes across as though she's a good actress, but you know, I do genuinely think that she, you know, she's a good person, and as I say, very interested people.
And who are you thinking is going to go on to win, or at least make the final of this series, from what you've seen?
So, I mean, I do like Louis. He's just exactly the same as he's on X Factor. Whether he wins it or not, I'm not sure, because I think he could quite easily upset a lot of people, and I think people have got mixed opinions. But, I mean, from watching it, I like Fern. She seems really nice. But I like Levi Roots. I just think he's so gentle, so soulful, deep. You know, he's a very interesting guy. I do like him. But again, it's early days, so it's hard to tell at the minute.
How do you think you get on in The Apprentice?
I would be rubbish in The Apprentice. Realistically, I'm not enough of a blagger. Like, I just pay the normal price, and I'm not going to heckle them down, you know?
I have this theory that I can't do sales. No, that's the thing. Like, you know, trying to like sell stuff.
I had a sales job for about 2 weeks and didn't sell a single thing.
What were you saying?
It was selling, confusing. It was like selling journalistic services. Oh. And then they were like, "You're rubbish at this. You'll just have to be a journalist instead." And I was like, "Oh, that's a shame."
Oh, spoiler alert! He did it.
I did it.
Reader, he made it. I love that. Right, so let's talk about Ronan Keating.
Always. That's a good chat, isn't it?
So, as we know, and you'll have seen from your binge, Louis the Lip, as I like to call him, in his sort of litany of showbiz stories, has been taking down clients, friends, foes, past and present, one of whom was Ronan Keating. Sort of said he's boring, he's not had a hit since I fired him, and all this, that, and the other. We've actually going to be hearing a little bit from Ronan about everything that went on.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, so he's, in the past, he spilled the tea about the situation and really gone in on Louis. So we're going to be having that coming up for you. So stay tuned for that in Monday's podcast.
Okay,
so
exciting.
I'm going to keep you on the edge of your seat for that one, because I'm confident that Louis is going to stay in. So we'll be digging into that properly.
I mean, hopefully.
I loved Big Brother, though, completely trolling Louis. I don't know whether you spotted this.
Which bit?
On Late and Live last night, they did like a little montages of all the housemates that are up, and played music over the clips, obviously. Life is a roller coaster from Ronan.
It's a great song.
I love that they were like, let's just give him some royalties. But the other thing that I loved, and I particularly wanted to tell you this, is they had a little clip from Pals for everyone.
Okay.
And they had Jonathan from G4 do Louis' video.
Okay.
You literally spoke to G4 this week.
I did. It's a spread in today's paper if you want to go and look at it. Jonathan from G4. If you don't... Look, I couldn't really remember G4. They came second, on
they
the
were
first
like
series
opera
of the
vibes,
X Factor.
weren't they?
They were a quartet, an operatic quartet. And look, to be honest, I hadn't thought of G4 since 2005. But they came into this very room and they were saying all sorts of stuff. I mean, it's really, I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but it's the most tabloid interview I've ever done, because they were just coming out with lines. They were saying that they spent 250 grand on drinks, strippers and gambling. They were talking about orgies. They were talking about signing people's genitals. It was all going on. And yeah, but Jonathan had nothing but good things to say about Sharon and Louis.
Oh.
Because they worked with them both on X Factor.
Yeah.
And yeah, really sweet guy. And yeah, he was saying that Louis was helping them choose songs for their next album, which is out next month. So I guess they're still on good terms.
Oh, there we go. So presumably they weren't signing any of their genitals.
What, signing Louis? Or...
I wonder.
No, I don't think they were signing their own genitals. That would be an interesting thing to do.
Oh, I love it. I've not actually read that interview.
Oh, it's great.
You're like,
Get me
humbly.
a journalism award, to be honest, right?
Humbly, it's great.
Yeah, basically.
I just thought how lovely that he's back in Louis.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a huge amount of former clients of Louis Walsh's who are backing him.
Well, did you see the Jedward situation?
I did see the Jedward situation. And also, I do think it's quite interesting that he's now done a 180 and is really positive about Girls Aloud, because I'm pretty sure he's not been massively complimentary about Cheryl and co in the past.
Yeah.
And they definitely haven't been about him. So that's an interesting one. But actually, a bit of a tangent. I have found it really funny watching these episodes from the past week where Sharon was talking about, you know, when she was talking about meeting Donald Trump and all these other people.
Yeah.
And Sharon has obviously actually met these people and would say about what she thinks about Ellen DeGeneres and whoever else. And Louis was always like, oh, yeah, she's horrible. And then Sharon talked about Melania Trump and Louis went, oh, she is lovely. Yeah, Melania's so nice. I'm like, Louis, you haven't met Melania Trump. What are you talking about? I know Sharon has, but you're not the same person. And I just couldn't quite get my head around that. I was like, Louis, stop talking rubbish. Like,
Yeah.
You don't know who these people are.
Yeah. I call it Louis' big verdict. Like, if anyone mentions anyone, he gives his little judge's comment. But then what is quite funny is when someone then follows up with, oh, have you met them? And he's like, no, but she just seems lovely. He did it the other day with... So he had met, so they were talking about Kate Middleton.
Right.
And he actually had met her. My favourite bit was... He was like, I asked her if she'd named Prince Louis after me.
I mean, that was so good.
Can you imagine?
I was like, this man is just such great TV.
I know.
He knows what he's doing, though, doesn't he? He knows what makes
Yeah.
good TV. He's saying stuff for the sake of it. He's stirring the pot.
Yeah. But I also, you touched on this earlier, I think he's just like, this is brilliant. Ekin says sorry for nominating him, and he's like, oh, it's fine, it was brilliant. Like, it's fine.
He was basically saying, like, it was brilliant, it was good TV, you did the right
Yeah,
thing. He's just always thinking about,
exactly.
he's breaking that fourth wall down. He's
Good-
like,
yeah.
the producers will love this.
Yeah, good for you. Good moment. And scene.
Right, basically that. It's
Yeah.
wild.
But, you know, like, that's how it should be, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but I don't think
Or
you should quite
arguably not.
acknowledge it so much, but yeah, it's great.
I know, I love it. So, tonight's show, Marisha and Ekin make up,
Oh, thank God for that.
which I don't think anyone's surprised to hear. Ekin quite grandly last night was like, I'm never forgiving you.
She said she
ever."
might never forgive her, and I was like, it's really not all that. Like, calm down.
I think that everyone should remember that Ekin has just gone through a breakup.
True.
Now, I know that everyone was always a bit, on the fence about whether her and Davide were a thing, but certainly I think a lot of hurts. It's clear that there's some hurt there.
Yeah, she's clearly had a tough time.
Yeah, and they dig into that a little bit more tonight. So on the show, they do, I don't want to say they're inspired by the Celebrity Big Brother Breakdown podcast, but they do a podcast challenge.
Oh, okay. Right.
Their podcast is called Shed Talks.
Is it in a shed or?
In a shed.
Right, okay.
Yeah. I should probably say that, otherwise it just sounds completely random.
Yeah.
And one of the topics which the girls talk about is men cheating.
Uh-oh.
So this to me is producers being like, go on, talk about Davide.
100%. Also, has Davide said anything through this? I haven't heard of Davide actually commenting on anything since Ekin-Su's been
No,
in.
so I don't know whether you missed one of our exclusives that we had early on.
Oops, sorry.
Here I am back in your G4.
You said you hadn't read that either.
No, I know, and rightly so. Davide was captured on tape by some partygoers in Dubai, raising a toast and saying, beep, Ekin-Su. And it was the night that she went into the house.
That's a shame.
So, I don't know. It's true we've not heard much from Davide, but we might.
On a tangent, if you've ever seen Davide's TikToks, they're very funny because they're quite unhinged. I'd like him to do a TikTok about Ekin-Su, but I want it to be nice because I'm like, look, when you're with someone for, how long are they together? 2 years or something?
Yeah, coming up 2 years.
It's like, come on, whatever happens, you've still got some good times. Better to have loved and lost than to never have loved.
Would you do a TikTok about exes though?
No, but I'm not in the public eye.
You are.
No, I'm not.
Some of your TikToks, Howell, have got like millions of views.
Yeah, but usually they've got Miley Cyrus in, not me. You know?
You lean on your pal Miley for
Check
the
out my
like.
TikTok.
Oh, yeah, I know. Slide into my TikTok DMs.
If you want to be an ex and you want me to talk about you on TikTok, slide into my DMs.
I always, when I was single, when I went on dates with people, they'd be like, "Oh, don't." You probably get this too. "Oh, you're going to write about me?"
Oh
No, you're not that interesting.
Tedious, I'm afraid.
Yeah, but you know, if you're mean enough to me, one day I might. So we've got a week left.
1 week left. I can't believe it. It's gone so quickly.
Who do you think is going to win?
So, someone who was we did the first podcast together, and we made predictions about who was going to win, and I have absolutely no recollection about who I chose. But I love Nikita. I think he's so sweet. I think he's so funny. I think he's come out of his shell. I think also there's a lot more to come as the house dwindles down. If he stays in, then we'll see a lot more of him. And that's the trouble, isn't it? Sometimes when there's so many people in the house that you only have a certain amount of screen time, especially if you're not causing loads of drama.
Yeah.
But he's been so sweet. Like when Coulson was upset the other day, he was the first one there making sure he was okay.
Yeah.
And he's just like quite funny. Like when he went in the diary room the other day and called Big Brother Daddy, and I was like, that's funny. Like that's just funny. It just naturally came out. He's beautiful. He's got great fashion. He chats to everyone, it seems. Like he hasn't had a single nomination. It seems like he's got it going.
Yeah.
And I also think people will vote for him because if they're like me, they'll have been won over by him. And I think I would vote for him to win at the moment. He's been my favourite.
He's very unproblematic, isn't he, at this point?
Yeah, but also I feel like he's been entertaining enough.
Yeah.
To be good. What about you?
I agree. So it's interesting because yesterday we chatted with Rod on the podcast, Rod McPhee, TV editor, and he was saying he thought that Nikita had been quite boring.
Oh.
I think it's just that he, like you say, he's just mid-pack, and at the minute there's just the dramatic characters being dramatic.
Yeah.
But as they filter off, you're left with the solid pillars of nice, kind, funny moments and great fashion.
Also, you've got to think Nikita's on Strictly, and Strictly
Yeah.
has a lot of fans.
Massive fans. And also fans that vote.
Exactly.
Which is crucial. Let's face it.
But I want to know who you want to win.
I have a real soft spot for David. And I
Okay.
also came into this having, like, I've chatted to him a couple of times from his work with Ibiza Weekender. And I think same as pretty much everyone, the first impression you have of him is like, woo. But I just think in that cop challenge, if you watched the cop challenge,
Yeah.
He was just overwhelmingly excited and sweet about it.
Yeah, he was. He was.
It was
very
really
excited.
endearing.
Also, I was like, how on earth did they not guess it was those two? It was so obvious.
No, I know, but I would just crumble under that pressure.
I mean, they made it so obvious. I mean, don't know what the rest of the house were thinking.
So just looping back to you being our awards superstar, red carpet.
Yeah.
Who would you from this cast like to encounter on the red carpet and interview? And who would you be like, no, I don't want to talk to them, thanks?
Ooh. What, out of the people who are left in?
Yeah.
I think if I met Levi on a red carpet, I'm not really sure what he'd say. You've got to think that as a journalist. You're like, what are they going to say that's going to be interesting enough?
What am I going to ask them?
And I just think he's not going to be there with the stories ready to go. You know, if you see Louis on a red carpet, he's the dream, right? He'll come out with all sorts, and he'll talk about Sharon, he'll talk about whatever else, and he'll slag people off. And it's like, okay, this is fun.
Yeah.
You know, you want the tea. Levi's not going to be given the tea.
Yeah.
So I think they're my two, Levi, Louis.
Yeah, nice.
What about you?
I think I agree.
Yeah?
No, I'm really thinking about it. Potentially Fern.
I think Fern will be a really interesting interview at some point because...
I always think it's very difficult as journalists to interview a journalist because you, for example, you just did it to me. What about you? Rod kept doing it to me yesterday. What do you think? We like asking questions, not
Yeah.
necessarily answering questions. And I think maybe Fern's got that vibe.
Yeah, but I think she would understand. I think at some point she would understand what she's there to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also, I think sometimes as journalists, we're so used to asking the questions that actually it's quite nice to have a question asked back.
Yeah. Oh, I don't like it.
Oh.
Stop asking me questions.
I do. I'm like, talk about me some more. Why are we talking about you?
Okay, well, you can come back, Howell, and ask you more questions.
Great.
Have a fab weekend. You can join us on Monday when we'll be back with the Celebrity Big Brother Breakdown podcast, 5 p.m, when we'll know whether Louis, Ekin, David, Fern have survived, and we'll have just 1 week left. So we'll see you then.
Bye.
Hello, boys.
Hey, how are you, Daddy?